Does anyone in the audience have a question for any of the presenters or about anything that they heard or a comment or?
All right, thanks for coming. Have a good night.
I have a question. So you spoke about the achievement gap, and I want to know how much leeway the teachers have to address that within the curriculum that you're supposed to be.
Did everyone hear the question?
A little bit.
He asked about the achievement gap and how much leeway the teachers have to address that within the curriculum that they're dealing with.
Yeah, there's not a lot of leeway. Unfortunately, what's happening is, again, we are being held accountable for this achievement gap because, of course, it's not a good thing. We don't want to have a gap. We would like everyone to be doing well. But we are Nathan Bishop is under the microscope. There are other schools that are not actually under a microscope because most of the students in the building are not doing well. So there's no gap. So they're kind of okay, but the fire is being held to our feet because there's a gap, which is really disingenuous. So, I mean, I think it should be held to everyone's feet to have everyone achieving better. But really the answer is increase the test scores. So in order to increase the test scores, you focus on what's being tested, which some of the tests are not bad. I mean, what they're testing is good. It's literacy skills. It's what, this is an answer to what Abe was talking about before. How did I get through high school and not know how to write a paragraph? That's not okay. So if having this fire under our feet to make sure that kids learn, you can teach all you want, but if the kids aren't learning, who's being held accountable for that? So I don't think all of this is bad. I think that's a very good outcome here, is that you're saying, no, we have these tests that are showing, that kids are supposed to be learning. Well, prove it. If you're teaching the kids, what are they learning? Well, we're measuring it more frequently now, which is not a bad thing. I'd like a little more leeway in how I meet the needs of my kids. I'm taking it, but a lot of people aren't old and don't care anymore. Like, I don't care what certain parts of my administration really care because they're not going to do anything to me. So I'm going to take the leeway. But a lot of really good teachers are afraid to take the leeway. So they're doing the lockstep.
I'm still not tenured yet, and I let her drag me
Right.
into it, so.
Right. But having said that, I don't think it's necessarily all bad. I am frustrated because there's not a lot of room for actually looking at what do students need. Like, what do the individual students that I'm looking at, what do they need? And then to be able to do what I need to do to get them to where they need to be. Because we're not spending our money in the right places. We're spending it on punishment. I was listening to you talk about arrests, and in my mind that translates to write-ups in my school. Like, it all seems like part of a continuum where kids do something bad, they get punished. They do something more severe, they get punished more. They do something more severe, they get suspended. Eventually you go up the chain, you're getting arrested, right? And to me, this just seems like if we would just spend some money and some resources teaching. You're talking about, the guy who coaches, the guy who teaches them how to build stuff, the one who teaches them how to dress for an interview. You're talking about, the day that you had where, what did you call it? Not dress for success. They dressed up.
Yeah.
Right. Dress up day. Instead of dress down, they have dress up day. There's to connect with kids and people and families and teach them. If we could spend all the money not arresting them, not putting people in prison, if we could spend that money, and I don't know, it's idealistic and maybe stupid and naive, but 85%, we're spending the money wrong. What are you going to do, increase it to 90?
I hope I don't shoot myself in the foot.
No, go ahead, go.
But quick numbers. I mean, we were having this conversation over here, and I'm like, is it really not working? You know what I'm saying? And I mean that like what side of the fence you on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you are invested into the incarceration system, then you do want that gap. Because it's a moneymaker. Trust me, I know. Firsthand, I know, I'm telling you, I know. All right, so I've seen it. I haven't read it, I've seen it. 70% of first-time offenders at the ACI do not have a high school diploma or GED. 70%.
I want to dovetail onto what
And
something.
that's because we
No,
throw
I-
them away. We throw them away. Can't we jump in earlier?
Yeah. I just want to dovetail onto what Cerise is saying and to try to speak to your question. And the question, going back to it, was how much leeway do we have? And the answer is, it depends on who you are and what you teach, but really with the core teachers, not a lot. And so if you look at something like what happened this evening, and I just have to be honest because I'm going to, and devil may care, but you know, she approached me, my colleague, my wonderful, beautiful colleague, who I love so much, that I've gotten to know over the past couple of years working there, and said, hey, I want to do this thing. So I have a curriculum that I'm working on right now, and I popped it aside and said, what do you want? What are we going to do? She says, look, this is what I'm doing. She shows me what she's doing, and now we as colleagues, instead of being in our separate kingdoms with our own agendas, are now working together as as school community members for our students. And then what ends up happening is they become invested in working with language in a way where the language is coming from them, they're seeing it crafted, it's personal. Now they take that language off the page, put it in their bodies, they move, they speak, they stand in front of a community of adults and have to be a middle school student who, don't forget, middle school, right? And how, oh my God, anyone's looking at me and I just want to die and crawl into the table. And be young ladies and gentlemen in front of you and let you have it. So powerful, so huge for them in learning that it's for us to take that time to allow them this opportunity to come to Brown University and work with Everett Dance Company and I could just spout on and on and on and on about the opportunity they have to do this and how much they are gaining and how enriching it is for them to learn it. And you would not believe, and I'm not going to go into it, but we experienced pushback, a lot of pushback from other colleagues and whatnot. And we had to and so what did we do? We took it on the chin and we just dealt with it and dealt with it in the way that it was probably just the acceptable losses and ego for us just to get these kids to be able to have this opportunity and for us to come out and be with you this evening. And it's worth it to us. It's still worth it to me because I'm only 3 years into this job, but and I hope it always is worth it to me. But, be flexible. Be okay with, pushing aside. But people are scared. They're scared that they're not going to stay on the pace that the district is telling them to stay on, and then they can't let that kid out of that class because that kid might connect with something he or she has a passion for that may lead them on a thing they want to do for the rest of their lives.
But that doesn't
Right?
matter as much as
The test
are
score.
you raising the test scores, because the test scores are tied to the teacher evaluations for English and math teachers. If you don't raise test scores a certain percentage, it works against you on your teacher's evaluation.
Yeah.
So there's incentive there that way. There's pressure. It's really, it's interesting. It's interesting that, and this is confusing to me too, because I don't know who it's working for either. But the number of students that we have that have IEPs, individual education programs, who have special needs. We have English language learners. We have students across the district who, for lots of reasons, don't read well in English. But when you put them all in classes with students who read on a 12th grade level, and you have a mix of kids across a spectrum that covers 12 years of reading levels, and you say, raise test scores, teach them all to read. I'm exhausted. It's really hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's really, really hard. So I feel like it's an artificial, disingenuous thing. You're asking us to do almost impossible things and not giving us the right tools and the right supports to do it, and it makes me angry.
We had a boy in
Makes
this
me
piece.
angry.
It is angering. We had a boy in this piece, a boy of color, who was a special ed student, who is one of the students that she's talking about right now, really low on the reading ability. But he was in this piece, and he was able to feel the sense of achievement through the rehearsal process of getting up and having the movement and memorizing what he was to have said and having a socialization piece because he was in with a group of these other kids who were helping him to know where to go and where to move and connecting, and he's in my drama club, but he didn't get here tonight. He couldn't get here tonight. He didn't, we couldn't get him here. And it wasn't because I didn't, hello? Okay, we couldn't get him here. Are you gonna be there? Do you need a ride? Like, who can we talk to? We just couldn't get through to get him here. They all came from the east side. He was coming from the other side of town, and we just couldn't get him here. We tried. So now I have to be satisfied, and will be satisfied with the fact that the process was what was in it for him, and that he'll take away what he took because of the process. And it's a sad fact, I built this thing so that if he were here, he could be in it, and if he wasn't, they would know how to cover it, because I knew we were gonna have an issue to get him here.
How about in the back?
Hi, well, thank you all for coming to tonight and for sharing your experiences. I'm currently studying ed policy, and the more I think about education policy, the more I actually revert to like community organizing and family advocacy. So one thing that you were mentioning was how like you had thought for a long time that you were middle class because that was like your reality in your world until you're exposed to something else. So a question that I often think about is, well, how do you expose low-income communities and communities of color? How do you show those families what a good classroom looks like? My question is, like, do we know what a good teacher looks like? Do we know what a good curriculum looks like? Do we know what a good school looks like? And using that as a tool to, like, ignite some sort of inspiration or engaging communities. Because it's all about engaging communities, and I think one way to engage communities is by showing them what they deserve and what they don't have. And so, like, how do you go about, I guess, how do you go about engaging families? How do you go about getting them to show, how do you go about engaging them?
One thing that I believe in, I think I'm a community activist. I love Providence. I came back, you know. I think, I want to say, yeah, we can do this, yes. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, the system ain't for us. I'll be honest with you. I ain't even gonna BS you, okay? Because once you really start to look at it, and I'm like, look at the test scores. And you're pushing kids out. They're not dropping out, you're pushing them out. So now they can't pass that, they're gonna drop out. And like I said, 70% first-time offenders at the ACI don't have a high school diploma GED, okay? So when they get out, now they got a prison record. Hey, 1 out of I don't even know how many people get a job. I work with dudes in the prison, getting out 2-3 years to get a job. 2-3 years to get a job. They got kids. So, and you want to talk about like numbers, I love numbers. 1 out of 3 African American, let's just say black, because Latinos get funny sometimes, okay? 1 out of 3 are gonna do time.
1 out of 3 born in the 21st century.
Born in the 20th, they're gonna do time. So I'm looking at all these numbers, all these stats, all the reality. And I'm like, and then you have 82% of folks coming from outside of the community, coming in to teach you, and they want to sympathize with you. A word for real? Oh, you understand? Okay. Oh, wow, okay. So what I like to say is, sometimes you can't see the forest from the trees. Well, sometimes you can't see the city from the alleys. So let me pull you out. Let me give you all the stats, all the facts. Let me go all the way down to Jim Crow for you and past that. I'm gonna tell you what the pattern is. And then you make the decision. What do you want to do about it? Because now you know, you can't say you don't know. So you really have to be active and engaged. And one thing that I really do love about Paul Cuffey is that process of really thinking about what you do and that ownership. It's like, well, what's your role in it? What role do you play in your ignorance? Because now you know, what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? I don't have a lot of faith in the school system. I do not have any faith in the correctional system. I just don't, you know. So with that said, I strongly feel that our solution is internal. I don't think that education really happens in the classroom. Not in the public school system, not in Providence. It just doesn't happen. It's a conveyor belt. Fast food education, the bell rings, get in line, go eat your lunch, all right, go back to your class, sit down, shut up for an hour, get up, boom, go to your next class. There has to be a change in that. And I think if you have a community, a small community of engaged, inspired people that can change that can teach that can actually give ownership to the students and be like, you genuinely are in charge of your education. Trust me, you think the school system's gonna do it for you and take a test? You think they're gonna look out for you? Good luck. Good luck. Take ownership.
Dorothy, is there anyone from the school department here tonight? People were invited. Where's Dorothy?
No,
No.
Is there? We did invite people from the school department and from the Annenberg, too, the Annenberg people.
Sorry, just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
In the back there and then up front here. Yeah.
So, question, to what extent do you feel that the relative silence in our classrooms about issues of hegemony and institutional racism contributes to disruption, disengagement, and low achievement, particularly from our students who identify as Black and Latino?
Are you asking to what extent does that happen?
No, the question is, to what extent does the relative silence about issues that deeply affect members of our community influence or contribute to disruption, disengagement, being pushed out, low achievement? Especially in our high schools, where discussions about race, institutional racism, and hegemonic conditions are completely ignored. So children become angry because we're not discussing the reality. So I was hoping that you might have some discussion about that and some solutions that you might be thinking about.
He's my boss.
Didn't they just pass did they? I know there was like a bill up about education, like African American history and education.
There was a bill passed last year for a commission in Rhode Island to study African American history, to actually create a curriculum. It's called the 1869 Commission.
Yeah. So that's sort of just a commission that's looking at it.
They're looking
Yeah.
at developing a curriculum to teach in Rhode Island.
So like something like that, and excuse me if anybody feels offended to that, like I almost feel offended to that. Because like, why are you gonna have like a curriculum specifically African American history when it's really just American history? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that. But I think, Chris, what an idea I have is that I think a lot of high school students, middle school students, when they're exposed to those type of ideas, they are exposed to it for the first time. So let them be quiet. Let them process that, okay? And then use those different types of the intelligences. Like I could lecture you all day, or I could take you to the John Brown house. You know what I'm saying? And your perspective on things will become a different reality. So that depth of understanding just changes. But I think, especially with youth that are exposed to it, that do not have the language to communicate what they're thinking, what they're feeling, give them time. Expose them to it. And then eventually in time, listen, you can't force a flower to bloom. Give it time.
Can I just say one thing too about that? You're also assuming that teachers can teach that because they know that it exists.
Right.
And as somebody
That's
who's
the problem.
doing research on white librarianship, I can assure you that there are many who have no idea what institutional racism is. They just think it's something that you do to one other person. And so the other component of this is you have a system that benefits from institutional racism because it puts people in positions of power that can then protect the secret of institutional racism, and it's so protected they don't even know it exists. So who's going to teach it? Who's going to teach it? And who's going to be comfortable with that learning process? Because they're all going to be learning it together for the first time without a vocabulary, because the vocabulary is largely kept secret. And now you have a bunch of people who don't know how to express their anger or their fear of losing a position of privilege. And I think it's important what you're asking. But I also think that you're talking about having action undo a system in order for that conversation to even exist. And educating a whole lot of ignorant white people about institutional racism and how they're complicit in it. Sorry.
In the back. Oh, this kid. I'm sorry. We had said we'd call on him first.
I guess, Dave, I was curious, having like been through Providence's school system, and coming back and working there, which I think is really great work. So like, what was important for you getting through that you tried to give back? Now, kind of you're talking about like going back and like seeing it from the other side. I'm just curious about that. Like, what from your experience you draw on? I guess you mentioned going to that program at a school on this side.
I think anger. And once I found out, and it was crazy, I related to, we got this program at Paul Cuffey, it's called Boys to Men. So we take these population of young men, and young men, and we make them men. Okay? So we're talking about dressing professionally. Make your tie right. This is how you tie a tie. Okay? We don't have dress down day, we're gonna have dress up day. You know? So it was seeing what was not given to me, the opportunity, made me angry. And to relate it to the conversation I was having with the men today, we had a little excerpt from Frederick Douglass, that part where Mr. Auld comes in and he catches his wife teaching Frederick how to read. Like ABCs, nothing like complicated. You know, there's part where Frederick's talking about, well, these symbols, these letters, these words. He got mad. He's like, you're gonna teach this, excuse the language, you're gonna teach this nigga how to read? He's gonna be of no use to himself, others, or us. So I was like, wow, rewind that. What is he really saying? How might that relate to what's happening now? So you wanna have a test, you don't wanna teach our kids how to read, you don't wanna invest yourself? Because you wanna keep them like that, you wanna keep them ignorant. I'm not down with that. So I felt like and my uncle's a reverend, you know what I mean? My Uncle Frank is like, Abraham, you've been given much. What are you gonna do with it? So I was like, yo, man, I'll just come back. I'm gonna holler at my people, because I know that we got played out wrong, continue to get played out wrong, and I believe that we should eat cake together, not crumbs separately. I think there's a lot of opportunities here, and it's just waiting to go. And I'm looking at all my kids. I'm looking at all of them, I'm like, we are gonna get this. Understand now, this has been history. Have love regardless, but understand you have to take ownership for yourself. So I feel like my word and my experience, if anything, at the end of the day, if something's gonna happen to me, I did right. I'm cool with that. So it's just, I love my people, man. I don't even know how to describe it. I just genuinely love the people. I love the South Side. You know what I'm saying? I just love my people, man. I came back purely de corazón, man.
The lady in the back had a question.
To follow on some of the comments about, now I'm talking, I can't remember what I want to say because I'm nervous, but it's going to come to me. So, brought up sort of bringing in Black history, and then Abe said, why is that separate? That's the American history, and then the woman who spoke a moment ago said, we don't even have the tools to talk about this elephant in the room of institutionalized racism, white privilege, that is just a part of all of our lives. And I keep coming back to, we don't have the tools, but we have to find a way to do that, because it is about breaking the system as it is and reconstructing it. Let me just say one more thing on that. So I've heard various conversations about that coming from within the African American level, not a responsibility to fix anything as if they're overseeing things, but a responsibility, we are a part of this. We are part of this institutionalized inequality that creates these numbers, and we have a responsibility here. So it's absolute, I see it in both sides, but I want to see that Teresa's talking about she has students from, first grade level to 12th grade level, or I may be paraphrasing that wrong. Can the students in the classroom start helping tend to each other in that learning? Can we involve the people who have had the privilege and the people who haven't in a respectful way, not in a ridiculous savior way? All this to say, I think the conversation needs to happen, even though it's painful and it's scary and nobody knows how to say it right. Nothing's going to happen if we don't talk about it.
What do you mean by tools? You said tools. Like you said we don't have the tools to do so. I don't, that's what I'm asking.
The tools to talk about it?
Yes.
I think that because there's so much, I think that we're afraid we don't have the tools because there is so much behind it. There's so much history that we want to put away and past when it's right here, and that we're afraid to bring it out. It's scary because it's real and it's now and it's affecting people's lives. And I just sort of mean, let's find the tools, because if we don't talk about it, we're going to keep perpetuating it.
Did anyone have a response to that?
I don't know. I don't really have a response or an answer. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking that one of the things that I used to love to do before No Child Left Behind and all the testing was teach my kids how to do sort of version of a Socratic seminar or like a Harkness discussion style. And I would do this in my 7th grade class, and we would discuss issues like this. Like the kids, 7th grade and 8th grade kids want to talk about this kind of stuff. High school kids get a little more reticent, I think. I don't know, but my experience with middle school kids is that when we have discussions like this and they learn protocols for listening and contributing and citing text and bouncing ideas off each other, and I'm starting this in a couple of weeks, actually. I'm starting this whole format in my classroom, and you've just reinforced why we need to do this. I mean, this is an instinct I've had, and I haven't been allowed to do it for years, and I'm pretty excited. And those issues will come up because it's organic, and it's some of what the kids need to talk about. So, and what I like is the unpredictability of it. I don't know where it's going to go. And it's uncomfortable, because when you open the windows and you open the doors and you want to hear what people really have to say. Not everyone likes what everyone has to say, but we need to learn to listen to each other. And so I'm going to say thanks for bringing that up tonight, because I really feel the need to get back in there and do more of that, in spite of the fact that I'm not supposed to, because I don't have the leeway.
Right, and thank you. Because I think that's where it comes around to. I think we do have the tools. I think we do have the tools. You're the tools. Okay, like we keep going around saying, you need to do it, the police need to do it, or you need to do it. And why aren't we talking about what do we want? What do we need? You guys are in the trenches in the schools, in the classrooms, so you know what we need. Your tools are your students. They're the ones who are going to tell you what they need. That's how, and you know how to teach them. So my question was, how much do we allow you to teach them? What leeway do we give you so that you can do those kinds of things? Because that's the value of the school system.
Well, we're like rebels.
Well, I mean, I support you. I think you should be doing that sort of thing, because otherwise, we're worried about, like you said, you teach the test, or you're doing the things that they want you to do, or somebody else wants you to do. When it's all about we. What do we want? What do we need? What do our kids need? And you guys know, because you're in the classrooms with them, so you have the tools. You are the tools. Go ahead and do your job. That's why we're paying you.
We have to do this thing called an SLO. It's called a Student Learning Objective. It is unbelievably complex with the layout, the wording, the the computer platform called Teachscape in which it is housed. It's part of our evaluation. I could teach my class the first year I started there any way I saw fit. If I wanted to teach it, I taught it. If I wanted to stop in the middle of my class and just hold the phone and the bus and everything else and zero in and say, wow, you just said something really cool, what do you all think about that? And just do something about that, I could do whatever I wanted. Then they made the 5 of us that teach performing arts in the middle schools get together. It was valuable. I can't say that it wasn't, because we were cool people who exchanged great ideas, so that was cool. But they wanted, at the district level, they wanted a common assessment for all of the performing arts teachers in the district for the middle schools, so that we could test the kids with the assessment at the beginning, and then test them at the end and measure what they've learned, so that we could put the numbers into our SLO, so that we can say this percent went from here to here in knowledge, and this percent went from here to here in knowledge, and this percent, and this percent, and this percent. It takes so much time to put this thing together that it's like I can't even think about what I want to teach in my class, because I got to put this thing together so that we can show the numbers to the district, so that we can prove that this kid moved from this percentile to that percentile, blah, 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 blah.
In the meantime,
And now I'm trying to teach theater to a test.
Over here.
There's a young man up there who is in school right now, and I wonder if he would be willing to tell us about his
Go ahead,
days
Sylvia.
at school.
Go ahead, Sir Cam.
And he's an
Talk about
awesome
middle
man.
school.
Stand up.
School. Right. To me, I feel like school is prison. Like not like in a bad way. Well, kind of in a bad way. But we have to wake up early. Scientists prove that our minds don't fully wake up until 10, but we still start early at 7:50. So the bus, I woke up yesterday and I was like 2 minutes late for the bus, and the bus literally saw me. The bus driver looked at me, and I was like this to it, and she just drove off.
Oh.
And then she opened the door. I thought she was gonna let me in, and she said, if you're late, you can't be on the bus, and she drove away. And I was just looking at her like, and I had to walk to school. So I got to school, and school starts really early, so everybody's always tired. And the principal, the teachers are always tired, and they take it out on us.
Because we have to do that SLO. That's why.
They have to be slow. I mean, get the SLO.
I would never take it out on you.
That's what all the teachers do. And then we go to school, we take core classes right away. Well, our schedules are different and stuff. But we have teams from the not the smartest to the smartest. And the not smartest barely get any homework. But I'm on the smartest team. So we get all homework, 2 pages a day from each class. So I feel that's not fair, because when I go home, I try to do the homework, but the teacher gives us it without really giving us instructions. She just, like, they assign it to us. Maybe science. Science is the only people who instruct us to do it, and they just give it us and grade it the next day. So then after that, we go to lunch. At lunch, we only have 20 minutes to eat, get our food, eat. And the line is really long. And if we're in the line and you don't get to eat your food, they say you're done. You have to go back to class, even if you don't eat. And you only have 20 minutes. And the line itself is really long. There's only 2 lines. And one time, I was at the end of the line, and I never was able to get my food. And they didn't let me eat it. And I was hungry for the rest of the day.
Oh.
And I was really hungry.
Where do you go to school?
Parkview Middle School.
Okay.
So, and they tell us that discipline. Anything bad that we do, we get disciplined for. And for the simplest things, you have your phone out, you get in trouble. If you get into a fight, that's different, but for some stuff. And incidents have happened where by mistake somebody would put something away, but they would take it really serious. My school is really serious, Cranston. If you do something this kid, Julian, he went like this, saying hi to a friend, and he got office attention for 3 days just because he went like this. They said that could be involved with gang signs. Had his hands wide open, yo, what's up? And he got in trouble for 3 days. And he almost got suspended because he said that he wasn't doing anything. They were like, are you back-talking us? And our principal, our vice principal is really mean, and she's strict. and she just yells at us whenever she gets the chance to. We drop something, we try to pick it up. Oh, why are you dropping stuff? You're making attention for yourself. And it's just really bad because we get in trouble for the simplest things, and we always get like picked on, and the teachers are always angry, and they're just like, I don't know. As a student, and we have like no power there. If we try to do something, they won't let us. Student council, there's only like 2 people in student council because they said that students don't have that much powers because the teachers make all the rules, and we're just like, we have a spirit week. Like sometimes they let us like have fun, but they say sometimes, not really, barely. It's like just like once, like one of these days. They never have a day where we don't have free periods. We don't have nothing. We should just chill. We can never just chill or anything like that. And I find that really like bad because you can't do anything. In class you can't talk. In lunch you have assigned seats. From the first day of school you have assigned seats. You can't sit anywhere. And I feel like it's prison because I just want to have fun.
All right, I think we're just going to take one more question. All right,
these guys back here waving a plate.
Sorry, we'll take 2 more then. Sorry.
Yeah, stand, girl. Get it.
All right. So many things will find that you have to get all of them. I agree with you on the voting. I have never been called so many times to find my opinion about anything. Like this is the only year I'm concerned. The other 3 years, no one's going to call me. I wish I had a tablet to give them the phone. I've gone to the point where I say, there's no registered voting here. So I agree with you, but if we don't vote, we can't complain.
No, and I get it. I don't know what to do this year.
I don't know either. It's like,
I don't know.
You feel like
I don't know.
You just want the least worst. The lady in the back, there are tools. It's very simple. Ask an educated black person. All of black students who are studying history and studying your stuff. What was the quote that you had?
White privilege is your class being taught, your history being taught as a core class and not as an elective.
Say that again?
Yes.
White privilege is your history being taught as a core class and mine is an elective.
To teach black history, or to make sure black history is being taught. That's BS. She said it's history. Just ask someone. I guess I'm middle class. Just said, I'm on the teetering on the edge of it. My bills say otherwise. But I'm middle class. I guess my parents are middle class too. I didn't suffer too much. Kids don't suffer. I suffer, but they go through it pretty good. You're a little spoiled too, as a matter of fact. A lot of the teaching problems.
She's a good girl. I had her in class and I loved her every minute of it. She's fantastic.
A lot of the school stuff starts at home. The problem is you got 85% of them in jail. Then you got the other parents of them in jail. That's where the issue is. So it goes back to the economy. If you give them jobs, they're not in jail. If you do after school programs, take the 10% of the $40,000 to teach to keep them in the prison and add that to the schools. So the kid who can't speak in the English class or sits in Chris's poetry class might get a chance to say something. So the kid who can't speak in the class and maybe will act out, who will dance, who will do something. The common sense that's required to get that in there. I'm old school. I want to stand up for my child, but I'm going to ask the question, what did you do first? Before I automatically get on the teacher's case for not treating my child. She has to earn her grades. But I don't need you yelling at my child for doing something either, because you're tired or you're mad. Because you had to get your kid up to go to school. I don't agree with that. But if she doesn't do her work, go ahead. So it's a combination, and we know that. That's why we're here. We know what the issue is. No jobs. So quick to put the kids in jail. I mean, arresting the kid for putting a kid in detention for doing this. I mean, there's zero powers, but where's the common sense in that? There isn't any. It seems to completely gone out. And that's what frustrates me the most. I mean, I can only focus on mine and just try to get her through the system. And hopefully, because I said, I work for the state. There's no guarantee between that and Social Security. So I'm planning on her being my retirement package. So I'm supporting her to make some big bucks so she can take care of me. Because I don't know what's left. But it's just so obvious to those of us who are in it what could be fixed if we could get the right people in, vote in the right people who can see what we know the arts. Get the kids to do something besides going home to a chaotic household, and give them the privilege of seeing there's something else out there. So maybe he wouldn't have to teach a kid how to tie a tie, and his father could teach him how to tie a tie.
So when you're running.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna make sure all my skeletons are because they go deep and try to find stuff, and I got a few, so once I get them all locked up and buried, I'm gonna run.
So at the ACI to incarcerate somebody, depending on what facility you're in, could run anywhere between $50,000 to $100 and change. It costs what, $45 to go to Brown?
Yeah.
So it costs more to incarcerate somebody than it does to educate them. But where do you make more money? Just saying.
And how much of that to put an arts department together in the school? $5,000?
Or even, Mr. Wheeler over here talked about, Coventry, 60, 70 arrests?
I can't believe that,
See,
because
that's
I
crazy.
started my educational career there and like 10 years ago, and I can't even believe that.
I almost want to say like this: Police State, Coventry, welcome. How does it feel? How does it feel? You mean you got 70 just arrested? You mean so they graduated from us and now they're going to you too? So instead of communicating with somebody, we're just arresting them. You feel me? And how does that mess with the kid's psyche when they do see a person of authority? Oh, you just came to arrest me. Oh, you came to arrest my dad. You came to arrest my relative. Fuck out of here, man. It really messes with a kid's psyche when they see so many police in that situation. It really does. I just felt like I needed to say that before I leave. Because I know time's of the essence, but I'm just keeping it real.
Dorothy and I had a conversation one day about, you mentioned to me that there are actually incentives in some police forces. I don't know about Providence, but that you were talking about arrest numbers, incentives to have those high numbers for arrests.
Absolutely not.
And we thought, well, maybe not here. And we were thinking, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if there were incentives for police officers to develop relationships with people in the community, and the number of kids that you involve in some kind of project, you get, you get an incentive for that. And again, I'm naive and stupid because I don't know. People don't talk about this, and where the money is not in the schools. People don't get rich by putting money into the arts programs or into social workers in schools or nurses in schools. Nobody makes money that way, but they do make a lot of money in the prison system, and they do make a lot of money in the test publishing companies and the textbook corporations and all of those people. They make a lot of money. So is that ed policy person still here, or did she leave? Because I'm just, yeah. So, I mean, and this is all ed policy.
At the police department, tell me, Mr. Wheeler, if I'm wrong with this, they have made some advancements in terms of trying to extend the olive branch, training some of the police force in nonviolence training. So instead of going into arrest, to actually try to communicate. There needs to be more of that.
We've made, I believe we've made great strides in what we do within the Providence Police Department. Everything from, we've established a great working relationship with Family Services of Rhode Island. They're out with us. Every call that we go to that involves a domestic, where there are children involved, or if there's a drug raid and there are kids there, we bring services into that family right away. So the kids immediately are working with them. We have a female who rides with the police officer every day from the Providence Center. So if we do come across somebody who has some type of mental illness, this female can come help evaluate that person. Again, services are provided immediately. Every officer that comes on the job now, and listen, there's over 400 of us. Do we have some bad ones? Yeah, of course. That's wherever you go. So I'm not going to defend everybody, but everybody is now given the training that they need. There's a lot more awareness made to the neighborhoods than what it used to be. I'm fortunate because I'm from here. I get the neighborhood. I understand how it goes. But not everybody is from Providence. So we have made great strides, I believe. So, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I think we said over here.
Actually, my question is to Abe. I'm just astounded at the experience you had in school, and that you could actually take that and move forward, because you were at an age when you went to that Wheeler school session. How old were you? Were you in high school?
17.
That is extraordinary to me. I taught high school kids. My question is, from a student's point of view, you said you reached that age and you couldn't write a paragraph. What was your experience of this in each level that you went through? Was there a social promotion in school that I think is the cruelest thing you can do to a kid? Because if he can't make it in the first grade, what do you think is going to happen in the second, third, and fourth? It's just, of course the kid is not going to ever learn if he doesn't get the basics. So my question is, when you were, I guess, first grade or third grade or whatever grade you were when you started to fall behind, what was going on for you each year as you progressed?
I was classified the trouble kid.
And what was in your head?
They don't understand me. You know what I'm saying? They don't know like the stuff I see. So get out of my face with, you're gonna try to treat you really, you're gonna try to teach me math? You know what I'm thinking about right now? So I was an exceptional student in terms of how I viewed the world. You know, my father was killed when I was 9, bullet hole in the floor. So I'm an exceptional individual when it comes to like my life experience, right? But, and that's not the majority of the students in the public school system. Let me just say that. The ones that I've had the chance to teach.
I mean, it was the same with me. I taught at Hope for 21 years. And the atmosphere was not an easy one for kids who were trying to learn academic subjects. But I would see these kids sitting there waiting for me to turn around and start teaching again when we'd have massive interruptions, maybe 8 fire drills in a day. Or I came home one time and said to my husband, oh, I forgot to tell you, 2 days ago, we spent the afternoon on the sidewalk because someone burnt a classroom out. I forgot to tell him because I lived in chaos. And yet, I'd walk into the classroom and there would be these kids, not all of them, but some of them that would be sitting there in this kind of peaceful state almost, waiting for me to start teaching again. And I would say, what is the core in these kids that they can live in this chaos and they can be waiting to learn, you know? And I'm just curious about that.
Because they probably been through worse at home.
Yeah, but there are kids that have been through bad things at home that then act out because of that. They don't, you know, that's what I'm saying, that there is this special...
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we could talk, we go on circles on this one,
Yeah.
you know, but poverty, incarceration, racism, sexism. I mean, there's so many things. I think at the end of the day, and listen, you got some heavyweight individuals over here at your corner with Edgar and Sokia Ross right here. You know, I'm sure that they could say some real interesting things about their public school experience in Providence. But I will just say, I think that's where my philosophy is, you tell them what's good. What is the deal? Take them out of that environment. Go to a field trip and go to the university.
Yeah.
Expose them to all those things and be very patient with it. They're gonna act out. But a professor of mine in college, in grad school, used to say this, Sam Intrater, it's not about tough love, it's about loving tough. Love them regardless. As much as you bounce off the ceiling and you're kicking over chairs and you're cussing and you're doing this, you know what? Eventually you're gonna get it. I'm gonna love tough regardless. As much as you call me out and et cetera, I have more faith in you than you probably have faith in yourself. And eventually, whether you see it or not, as a teacher, and you accept it, all these educators on this panel, you will probably never see the fruits of your labor. Never see the fruits of your labor. So just love tough regardless. Just go in there, give 110%, and keep it moving. That's the only thing I can say. And for me, I've had particular teachers, Rob Du Bois, the principal of UCAP. I went to UCAP. I'm a UCAPian. I'm very proud to say that. I'm a UCAPian. You know, Al Lemos loved me tremendously. People that just would not give up on me. And they don't know it, but I have tremendous amount of love for them. I'm actually going to go tomorrow and see them.
These are also schools that are small and personalized, and they care to know you. And all the stuff you're talking about, systems, I don't know who this system is. It's a factory. And what matters, you want to teach a kid, you got to know a kid. And you look at the schools that are succeeding, Paul Coffey, small school. And I don't care what they tell you with data or non-data. If you don't know the kid, you're not going to be able to teach the kid. I don't care what race, what class, what country. And this is something that goes on forever. It has not changed in Providence, Rhode Island, or in public schools in America. And you know why? Equity, inequity, lack of justice. There's a reason. And that's what it's about. So yes, political reality. But what is this political reality? Who are these people who are controlling this? You and I should do something about it. And if a kid is not known, he's not going to learn.